Hi guys, welcome back to BlueMoonRisingTV. Today we're going to look at the 5 names that are most likely to be on their way out of Manchester City in this summer. We've already talked, or Stephen more precisely, talked a lot about the incoming players.
A lot.
But if the players are going to come in, some players have to leave. Nobody is certain, well, more or less. There's a few big names that are definitely on the way out though. Pep Guardiola, he likes to have a fresh start, get rid of the big names. He's not scared of sacking. He doesn't care who you are.
He's a ruthless man. This is the man who got rid of Ronaldinho. If he can do that, he can get rid of anyone.
Yeah, he gave Eto'o 1 season, got rid of Deco, all these. So nobody is safe when Pep Guardiola's around. So let's go straight into it. And there's some names here that maybe you will disagree with, agree with. Let's see. Number 5. Who's the first name on our list?
This is in terms of less likely to leave, I would say, isn't it? So in that instance, it's probably going to be Mangala. Now, this has basically been because we didn't sign someone. Because Laporte, obviously, that fell through annoyingly, but that did seem to just kind of come to an abrupt end. And the rumours are that we might be giving Mangala a second chance. He's been linked to Porto today, but I can just maybe see him kind of surviving simply because we haven't signed the players we want, and not necessarily because we want him to stay as such. But yeah, just because he's there.
Yeah, he's just taking advantage of the fact that we haven't got anybody else in, basically. But yeah, this was a position that we thought we were going to get so many new names in. We're going to have Laporte, Stones. We still could get Stones, but Laporte is definitely off the cards. So maybe Mangala has been handed an olive branch.
It might just be that we get Stones and they decide they've got Denayer, Company's back fit and ready to go, Otamendi, then we might see Mangala go. But I think this one will kind of play and play and play. And I think if he does go, it'll probably be one of those loan moves that we always see happen with Man City. Yeah. But that will be one to keep an eye on. I think he's likely to stay as it stands, but you never know.
And the team that he's most likely to go to, then we're going to say?
His old club, Porto, have been linked to him.
Okay.
But who knows who could pop up as well.
All right. It's not the first time that he's been linked out of City as well. Last summer, they were talking about it, and every transfer window, really. Yeah. So, but let's see what happens. So Mangala is the first name and the least likely of these 5 to go. Number 4, getting one step more likely. It's a name you might not have necessarily thought of a little while ago, but things change. And now, Sami Nasri is a name.
The most telling thing here for me, actually, which seems to be a positive for Nasri, is that we did some research and there's no one linked to him, like literally no one. Like you see these rumours about him possibly being uncertain of his future, and the tabloids and these love making stuff up, and even they haven't bothered doing it. So which makes you think, does his agent want to stay at City? Is he not spreading the rumours that you see? And most rumours do come from an agent usually pushing for some kind of interest. Yeah. And there's been nothing there. There was actually some rumours that apparently he might be given a second chance to City. Well, I say second chance, he just wants to stay and he's a good player. And if he does, he could see him move into a deep lying midfield position, that's very Pep, isn't it? That's the kind of thing Pep would do. He'd pull that mad thing out of the air and decide to reconvert Nasri.
Might be playing as a left back, or something. Who knows? But
I would love to see that actually. Yeah, Nasri left back.
I think
weird, but good.
I think if Aguero starts playing centre back, then we know something's wrong. But who knows what's going to happen? But I think I agree with you. I think Sami Nasri probably would stay if he could. Yeah. And I think he's willing to fight for that. And like you said, I said for this video, let's try and get a name that each player's going to each time. We're like, let's look for one, and there's just nothing's appeared.
It's the mystery, magical team that hasn't.
Nobody's invented anything yet.
I think that's interesting. And to be honest, if there's one player I'd like to see stay, I'd like to see Sami Nasri stay, because I think he could become something quite special under Guardiola. If he gets inside his head and gets him motivated, then he's technically brilliant. We all know that. Yeah. He's a very fantastic footballer. But I think he might be one that it's just a case of, you can stay, mate, but depends who else comes in. Yeah. And I think if suddenly Toni Kroos comes in or someone like that, then I think it's see you later, Sammy.
I think Nolito, if we're looking at that left attacking midfield side, then Nolito is somebody who's threatening him there.
He's a natural winger as well, yeah.
So that's it. It depends if Pep wants to play with his wingers, which he does. But who knows what system he'll decide on at Manchester City. Yeah. Okay, getting ever more likely now, a name really none of us want to see go, but hey, we all get older, and even
I don't get
the older. Invincible
no, never.
Pablo Zabaleta even he gets older.
Fair, you can see it.
Yeah.
You can see he looks older. This one is kind of constantly flying around. But once again, I think this is also a case of the player not necessarily wanting to leave. There's rumours that his agent said Pep might want him to stay, but then every other day there's a new link to some Italian club, and at the moment it's Roma. But even the Italians are apparently saying it depends on what City want to do. Maybe this club are looking to see if a better, younger option will come in at right back. I'd personally be happy to see him move on. I know that sounds horrible, but simply because I think he's had his day to an extent. I absolutely love the man, like genuinely. And this sounds really pretentious and hipstery, but when he first joined City several years ago, I actually got Zabaleta on the back of my football shirt, my away kit, which is also hipster kind of kudos there, but it's true.
Yeah.
Because I'd heard about
him.
To
this day, you're still bringing out that story that you're the original Pablo Zabaleta fan. He was. I think that he's the player who wears his heart on his sleeve, gives everything for the club, speaks better English than us.
Me.
Yeah. So he's really endeared himself to the team. But I think a lot of us have been resigned to the fact now that he could be on his way.
I think,
and if we're talking about who's coming in, well, Sanya is obviously in that position, and it looks like we're going to keep hold of him.
Love Sanya, he's been brilliant this year.
Yeah, exactly. And utter professionalism.
Yeah.
And then is it maybe a youth team player coming in at right back? Do we sign somebody? Not a lot of names really flying about for that right back position.
There isn't really, to be honest. No, there isn't. I think we're looking to Bellerin a little bit from Arsenal, but I can't see that happening because I think that's going to be too difficult to do. I mean, that would always have to start to be completed, if that makes sense. It's one of those things that go on forever. Yeah. It's not going to be like we're going to rock up last minute of the transfer window and go, oh, here you go, Arsenal, 20-odd million.
Yeah, no, I think Barcelona have been interested sniffing around Bellerin as well, haven't they?
He probably would go there.
Yeah, so, I mean, can you really imagine that we would necessarily steal... I mean, he's gone from Arsenal, which is Barcelona light. The logical step then is all their best players go to Barcelona.
Arsenal, Man City light.
Yeah, there's something between, I don't know. But every team's Man City light, you know that. Right, anyway, I'll just say that. Okay, let's see then. So we don't know who's going to come in, but maybe he's reaching the end of his shelf life.
So if he goes anywhere, probably Roma, I reckon. And I think he'll probably go. If I had to hedge my bets, I'd say he'd go.
Even though we haven't seen any names that could be coming in, it could be a youth team player that goes in there. It could be Denier, exactly. Okay, now, again, we get into another huge name here, but one that we come back to probably every year, and that's Mr. Yaya Toure. What do we make about this? Do we think he's finally on his way out?
I think I don't think he necessarily wants to go, but I think the club wants him to go. But I think the problem is he earns a lot of money. We're on about chestfuls of money. He earns loads, and he's been linked to Inter for every single summer since Mancini went there. He's apparently been leaving for 2 or 3 years now, and he's probably just about the right time for him to go. He's definitely declined to quite a great extent, and I love the man in terms of he's that kind of talented, kind of spoiled brat that you love, you hate to love, but you do because he's done so much for the club. But he is definitely past his sell by that now, and he's been linked to Mancini, and I can see him. Those links are obviously genuine because it's there every single week, every single day. But apparently they can't afford him because his wages are so extremely high that they've offered him allegedly half of that. And
is this going to be another one of those we basically give a player to an Italian team as well?
Right to buy.
How do they get away with doing that, these Italian teams all the time? It's like, no, we're not going to pay that.
Mugging us off every summer.
But we'll still have him. It's like, and then we do it.
And then 12 months later, it's your problem now. But we had a contract. It's like, no, we're not actually going to pay it.
I know, what would that mean? I mean, I tell you what, though, if anyone's going to do it, an Italian, you'd probably be able to do that. And, just who cares? But lately I would say, I guess with Jovetic, we've actually got it's a loan and they have to buy.
Yeah, and Dzeko obviously went as well.
So we seem to be getting a little bit better, thankfully, at getting rid of the dead wood and making Italians actually have to pay for us. Yeah, they may try to cancel it, but who cares? Okay, so Yaya Toure, this is one that seems to change every week. We can't trust his agent because we know what he's like. We can't really trust Yaya because we know what he's like. And then, we keep hearing Inter every time. So is Yaya finally going to go? Let us know in the comments. It's so hard to be able to second guess what's going on with him. Yeah. But let us know. I would say, if you're talking about the style of play he is, what has he got now that Guardiola would be looking at and saying, that's somebody I need in my team? All he's got really now is his past And that really is what we know, as we've already said. Guardiola
he still can pass the ball around very well, but you wonder if he has the legs. If he's going to play anyway, he'd have to be protected by 2 runners at the very best. But then did you think, could we get someone who's younger and more versatile and more kind of dynamic, so to speak, to actually do his role?
If we're talking about number 10s as well, I mean, we've got so much competition for that role.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to imagine where Yaya Toure will fit in. His status is sealed at City, but maybe now, finally, it's time for him to go. And then number 1, I think it's the name, most likely to leave. I think I've not really seen lots of news about this because I think we're just all resigned to the fact that it's happening. Wilfred Boney, it's time for you to go, mate. And it's time for you to go and score 30 goals somewhere else a season.
You will. It'll happen. It'll guarantee it'll happen. We'll let him go. He'll get put in a team that sets up to feed him. You know, they'll base the team around him, and he'll score goals because he will score goals. I'm almost certain it hasn't happened for him at City. I'll hold my hands up. I was quite excited when he joined. I did that thing where you watch all the neutral videos of every single touch and every goal. And there's one against City when he just dominated us and he scored a long-range goal and rocket of a shot. But he just didn't fit into the team. Lost confidence. His head dropped. And I think it's probably right that he moves on. Having said that, if he stays, he'll probably end up being treated better under Guardiola than he was under Pellegrini. He'd probably play to his strengths a little bit more.
That's it. But our system was very, very rigid under Pellegrini in the last season. And we weren't really playing with wingers, which were a player like Boney you'd want. Yeah. I mean, wingers on the pitch, but not really playing like true wingers. So, yeah, you'd imagine... People say about Guardiola, he only has one style of football, but at Bayern, he was, he adapted to his strengths of his strikers.
People
and
said
Lewandowski, they were crossing the balls in the Champions League, throwing balls in there for him. And he knows how to use his player strengths.
Well, that whole one style of play came because he'd managed one team. He obviously he's going to adapt, and I think you'd be naive to suspect him to do exactly the same thing as he's done at Barcelona and Bayern at City. There'll be the core principles in terms of how they move the ball around and how they press in a certain way, but he will adapt his game and his style to fit to the Premier League. And if Boney was there, he'd be a part of that. He'd make sure he played to his strengths because he's a thinker and he does that. As it is, I think Boney will move. The rumours that he's been linked to are Swansea. Could be a lazy rumour, but they might think, do you know what, we've got him sold him for 30-odd million, we could probably get him back for half that and make a massive profit on that, and he's still a fan favourite.
I think actually we're paying in instalments as well, and we still owe them for him. So it would just be like, tell you what, take him off our hands, we'll call it that, I call it quits.
We're still paying for his own instalments.
But that maybe call it quits if we did that.
Besiktas as well. I think I saw a rumour that he was linked to Besiktas.
Right.
I reckon that'd be a loan if he went there as well.
Yeah.
I can see him just going to Turkish league and scoring a few goals there.
Yeah.
Which is where kind of promising footballers go to die, so to speak. A lot of them do. You look at
Wilf.
Yeah, like Nani and Van Persie and Milan Baros, everyone's favourite 10-year-old striker from 10 years ago.
Football manager favourites.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, okay, Wilf, I think he's at number 1 for a reason. He didn't suit our play. He had a bit of a horrible season, despite getting all those chances. And I think what most made us disillusioned about him was that he kept getting chances ahead of Kelechi Iheanacho. Yeah. And that was something that left a little bit of a bitter taste, which wasn't necessarily his fault. Right then, guys, let us know. There are 5 names that we think are most likely to leave. What names do you think we've missed? Who do you see going? Do you think Nasri's got a future? Will Yaya Toure still somehow find a way of sneaking into Manchester City's starting lineup?
Probably, let's be honest.
Unless it's written in his contracts that he plays every minute of every game, which, hey, it might be. He should be surely on his way. Let us know, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all the rest of it. We'll see you in a bit.